This is the 24 hours GMT edition of the Khoodeelaar television channel. Khoodeelaar Baby Angel Geronimo editions of Khoodeelaar television channel. Baby Angel Geronimo is the world's bestest baby angel Geronimo, witnessing the worst depravity of the evilness dominating the state of the United Kingdom and its agents, agencies, and its stooges. The baby angel Geronimo witnesses the persistent corruption and distortion of the idea of justice through the so-called Ministry of Justice, where the injustice personified, the thug Dominic Raab, is still in place. Where is he? Let's check where Raab is. After the so-called top secret reshuffle by Rishi Sank. I'm still checking on Dominic Raab's location. So So this is the heading about Rab. It says, Raging Rab goes viral after staring Starmer down in Parliament. It's a fucking complete rubbish. It's a photographic technique. It's a trick. So Rab is still in place as Deputy Prime Minister. Now, where is the post about the Ministry of Injustice? So Suella Braverman is no longer Home Secretary. That is at least one move. Let's see what else Sunak has done. Oh, it's not. She's there. She's still there. She's not. Fucking coffee cunt. So Braverman is attacking Muslims. We should go to Braverman and Shawcross in due course. Now here is a piece on Nicola Bulley, and they're quoting somebody. Cops fear Nicola Bulley could have left Riba on path not covered by CCTV, as diver admits he can't find her in water. Well, we don't want to say it on the record, but we know that someone is not far away, but someone knows where they took Nicola Bulley. Let's put it this way. That is why the searchers cannot find her. Whatever state Nicola Bully has been reduced to, she is not free. She is in a captive state, let's say. We don't know where, but that is what we believe. And that's all we'll say at this stage at 22:34 GMT on Wednesday, the 8th of February 2023. And there is a piece about Shamima Begum that is based on the alleged BBC podcast or the BBC Two item that was allegedly aired yesterday, 7th of February. What this is saying, this coverage about Shamim Begum is completely another layer of stupidity. There is this Yahoo News UK that is saying Shamima Begum's ISIS husband reveals the shy schoolgirl had weird questions. But that is a complete lie, another lie. She didn't ask any weird questions at all. And this rapist, Jago Ridzik, is described as a Dutch convert, is an absolute cunt. In the 6, 7, 8 years or whatever number of years since the first British media reporting of Shamima Begum and her two schoolgirl friends, all the coverage of the media, all the coverage including the extremely stupid contradictions, all the coverages have excluded, left out, completely left out the role of the local council, which legally has had the obligation to safeguard children. The media have talked about the East London Mosque, as we discussed in the last edition. They talked about the IFE, the Islamic Forum Europe, but they didn't talk about Hrs Council. So we shall be reserving our detailed essay-length piece on Hrs Council until a later date and edition. But this is the summary of the main response to the BBC Two airing on 7th of February 2023. The Daily Mail has got a byline called Dan Uton. And there is a Shamima Begum fact versus fiction. 4 key claims from documentary debunked. And we shall be talking about all of those, as I said, in the essay length diagnosis, not in this particular edition. And there is a piece on the Global Herald headed Loose Women published this video item entitled She's a Political Football. The panel divided over Shamima Begum's story. And all the items, including this one, from the website broadcastnow.co.uk, TV Critics, the Shamima Begum story, Consent. Joshua Baker's first-rate reportage will probably be the fairest trial that Shamima Begum ever receives in the British media. That is a quotation. The Shamima Begum story, BBC Two. Watching the Shamima Begum story, Joshua Baker's meticulous, grimly mesmerizing 90-minute documentary, one thing was clear. Begum isn't easy to like. This seems blindingly obvious. For a person who joined an evil death cult and shrugged off seeing severed heads in bins, but even now, when proclaiming regret, she has an unfortunate, smirky, evasive manner that does her no favors. I wondered if we could believe a word she said. That is Carol Meagley, The Times. And it has got others, the critics, television critics on the Fleet Street papers. And the real consensus is that they are all agreed in a conspiracy, unwritten conspiracy, at least in terms of public accessibility, that they will not talk about Hrs Council, and they will not talk about the safeguarding the children duties that Hrs Council failed and is still failing. It's not the trial on so-called television. It's not a trial in the so-called courts. It's the actual prosecution that must be mounted, has been overdue for mounting against the London Borough of Hrs Council, the local council that has had the safeguarding children duties. To safeguard Shamima Begum, to safeguard her two friends, three friends, in fact, now, according to the latest connections. And the council didn't safeguard any of them. Now, all four of these girls, Sharmina Begum in December 2014, and Shamima Begum, and the other two, Amira Abbasi and Khadija Sultana, in February 2015. All of them were entitled, as they left the country, to the protection, safeguarding children duties, protection owed to them by the Tahrir Hamdis Council, and all of them were deprived of that safeguarding protection, while the lying, idiotic Lutfur Rahman has been in post, allegedly as the incumbent mayor at the expense of the people of Tahrir Hamdis, including these children. And what is staggering, all these newspapers, all these media outlets, including the BBC, including that documentary, including Joshua Baker, all of them at various levels, various kind of degrees of competence, so-called professionalism, meticulousness, they are being hailed and promoted by one another. And all of them are lying. Because what could have happened? What could have happened if the local Tahrir Hamdis Council had in place a program designed to safeguard the children, even before these children got trapped into the cycle of whatever they got trapped in, that saw them eventually out of the United Kingdom and in Syria. What would have happened? Who would have been observing these children? Who would have been taking care about what they were thinking? Who they were thinking with? And how frequently were they thinking? Because according to this rapist, the so-called Dutch convert, she had hardly any life experience when he met her. How the fuck is that supposed to be a revelation? It's a 15-year-old child, you fucking cunt. You rapist cunt. What life experience do you expect her to have had? So the safeguarding the children duties that Lutfur Rahman in Tahrir Hamdis Council neglected would have, if it was a competent program, should have investigated what these children were up to. And they should have, would have, could have made contacts with their families, whatever the actual constitution of the family, whether it was a fully fledged kind of family unit like with mother and father and all the rest of it, or as in the case of Sharmina Begum, the mother died and the child became very distressed, kind of What is it called? She became estranged, and she spent a considerable time with her grandmother, whom, of course, she hoodwinked and misled, and whose passport she abused. But these are tricks, these are not unheard of, unprecedented mysteries being unearthed. These are very common techniques and tactics used by people lying to one another. And these girls were lying, including Shamima Begum lying to her mom. So there was nothing. There would have been nothing. There could have been nothing. There wasn't nothing. There wasn't anything in the behavior, in the outlook, in the attitude, in the thinking of these girls that a competent safeguarding children program could not have detected. And if it could have detected, and if it did detect these tendencies, propensities, likelihood of their doing something like going out of this country, they could have been stopped. But there was no safeguarding the children program. And after all these documentaries and all these legal kind of claims and counterclaims, etc., and the stooge role being played by the Supreme Court, etc., so far, none of the commentators, none of the so called lawyers, including Tasneem Akunji, who has been allegedly a lawyer acting for Shamima Begum or on behalf of her family or whatever for a significant amount of time, none of them is talking about the Tar Hamders Council. Why the fuck not? So we shall be talking about Tar Hamders Council because we are the ones, we were the ones and we are the ones 13 years on. We've been opposing the foisting, the imposition, the infliction of the corrupt, criminal, negligent elected mayor, executive mayor post in the name of the people of Tar Hamders. We have been leading and we have been exclusively forecasting everything that has happened. We forecast everything that happened and that would happen. So the essay length diagnostic analysis of the whole thing about Shamima Begum in the so-called media, including the BBC and the BBC's alleged opponents, we shall be doing that in the next few days, and we shall be doing it item by item. Now back to Pakistan, and what are they saying about the IMF? Because during the day on Wednesday, this is not the day, this is evening 22:53 GMT on Wednesday, the 8th of February 2023. And during the day, I saw this ball news, a kind of panel discussion, which was completely, absolutely ignorant. The ball news are morons who keep overhyping themselves. And the so called panelists, there were 4 of them, I think, they didn't offer anything about the truth of what the IMF is. The IMF is not a sanctified kind of platform. It's not independent, and it's not truthful, and it's not what it is peddled to be, and it doesn't deserve the promotion that it is getting even in Pakistan today. IMF should be condemned, dismissed, and the truth about who the IMF serves must be told. It's not inevitable that there will be a default, and if there is a default, it would be the natural consequence of the collective Pakistani's fault. I'm making a difference between the government and the population here. So we shall be talking about IMF. And they keep saying this. These fuckers keep saying every time, every 2 years or 3 years, they say that Pakistan is going through the crisis, the worst existential crisis since the country was founded. Fuck off. Pakistan has sacrificed, as Imran Khan correctly said, but correctly said, he said the number is, that was less. What number he cited was in the 80,000. But the actual number of Pakistanis killed by the Pakistan country being used over Afghanistan by the UK and the USA. Many more Pakistanis were murdered and killed than 80,000. But whatever the actual number of Pakistanis killed over Afghanistan, without Pakistan, it would not be America, it would be India. The fuckers keep saying that Pakistan is about to be destroyed, they collapse. India would have collapsed without Pakistan. There is an irony there, isn't there? Because Pakistan was used as a sponge, massacring more than 100,000 Pakistanis. That meant that India was spared. Now, can you imagine Modi? What would happen if instead of Pakistani so-called terrorists infiltrating India, if the Taliban arrives in India, what would happen? Can you imagine the nightmare that Modi would go through? So all the mainstream media in the West and also in Pakistan, the servile ones, they take the copy from the Western kind of outlets. They're lying. Now here is a rare piece about earthquake in Pakistan and India. It says it's a piece on the outlet The Express Tribune, and it says, fact check, are Pakistan, India at risk of major earthquake? Now what would happen? They can't blame the Pakistanis because of India going through the earthquake, can they? So the real issue of Hakiki Azadi is that they haven't given up on empire. The British, the Americans, and mainly the enemies of Islam, the Muslims. Because the key issue they have against Pakistan is there is a Muslim country. I mean, on the mainland, if you like. Forget about Indonesia, which is numerically the biggest population, Muslim population country, single. But Indonesia is a huge archipelago, thousands of islands. Pakistan is the country that has got the biggest, in one single country, one single territory, the biggest Muslim population. And none of the Western forces, none of the Western powers, and others, including Russia, they don't like the idea that Pakistan exists. That is the reason, because it's Muslim. And even compared to Erdogan in Turkey, there are more normal Muslim internationalists in Pakistan than in any other country. They're not being allowed to breathe free, but that they are. They're not in power, but they do exist. And at the actual center of their consciousness, anti-Muslim consciousness, the Brahmins, the Brahminists, and Hindutva fundamentalists, fully aware that India is able to exist because of Pakistan. If Pakistan collapses, let's say that's the fantasy. I mean, India would immediately, completely collapse. It won't be because of the huge so-called superior military power or forces or resources that the Indian Republic has. It's nothing to do with that. Emotionally, India would completely collapse. So this is the Hakiki Azadi statement that I am making, not Imran Khan, but I am making. On the evidence. So it serves India to support Pakistan's continued, not only survival, but its prosperity. Ironic, isn't it? But that is what the reality is. And look in the equation. There is no place for Sheikh Hasina of Bangladesh. She has been subsumed, she has volunteered to be subsumed as a servile slave to the wishes of the BJP and the RSS. And in doing so, Sheikh Hasina has given up on speaking for the millions, hundreds of millions across the northeast of India. Hundreds of millions that have been affected, violated, de-recognized, de-entitled under the 2019 Citizenship Amendment Act. And therefore, whatever the headlines on the IMF is not going to sink Pakistan. Because quite apart from India's future, if Pakistan suffers in the way that the IMF propaganda machine is suggesting it will, then the real owners of the IMF will collapse themselves. Now imagine the scenario that the fantasist anti-Muslim neo-Nazi William Shawcross indulges in. There are not thousands, but hundreds of thousands of Muslims, heading for Britain. That is only a fantasy. It doesn't happen. It has not happened. But if Pakistan, let's say, that will happen. a very large number of Muslim people would be heading for Britain. The number would be 1,000 times bigger than the Channel crossing numbers. So for all these reasons, not only the UK and India and the USA, but Israel needs Pakistan to survive. Israel, remember the name? So we shall be ending this particular edition at just under 42 minutes. And we shall be ending it at 23:05 GMT on Wednesday, the 8th of February 2023. There are many other items to be focusing on. We shall do that, and we shall update on the baby angel Geronimo's witnessing evidence during the day in due course.